Hello and welcome to the St. Nicholas podcast. We are here with our wonderful alumni. We just finished our 2025 alumni talk, and we're so glad to have you here to talk more about your experiences, just like you shared with the learners who are currently studying at St. Nicholas. So if you can please introduce yourselves, we can start with you, Ritwij.
So it's my pleasure to be here. I'm Arthur. I'm from the class of 2020. I currently study medicine at USP, and I was recently accepted into Harvard's medical school exchange program.
My name is Gabriela. I'm from the class of 2023. I'm currently studying journalism and communication at the University of Toronto.
And my name is Ritwij. I was from the class of 2024, and I currently study computer science at Georgia Tech.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with the first question. All of you went through the IB Diploma Programme, right? This is something that I think is pretty one of the most important events at St. Nicholas for you. So I wanted you to share a little bit about how you saw the IB Diploma Programme as preparing you for the future steps at university. And for example, if you're doing any other activities as well outside of school, how do you see the IBDP preparing you for your next steps?
So I think the IB prepares mostly on time management. I think there's a variety of coursework that we do along the IB Diploma course, ranging from writing to exams, and that requires a lot of time management and to be constant with your studying. Also to develop a wide variety of skills, such as, for example, we have oral presentations. Like I said, we have essays to write. And it also motivates us to study more when we choose what we want to study further. So that is for the high levels. I particularly studied biology, chemistry, and maths, which align very much with what I'm currently doing now.
Excellent. How about you, Gabby?
I find that the IB helped me a lot with all the skills I need for academic learning. So essay writing, or I think mainly essay writing, because I do a lot of writing in journalism. And since I'm doing also creative writing and other things, the skills I learned while writing the IAs, the extended essay, the analysis of language, not only does it help me in real life with like analyzing documents I need to look for in articles, it also helps me produce my own media, which I find very helpful, especially in the field I'm going into. So yeah, it helped me with the skills I need.
Excellent. How about you, Ritwij?
I think the entire IB Diploma Program, while also simultaneously completing college applications and doing extracurriculars, is a really good simulation of how our busy college adult life is. It really prepares you well to juggle multiple things at once. And I think the academic preparation in the IB is spectacular. Particularly, I took maths, AI, HL. And in every math class I've encountered so far in university, whether that be, linear algebra or discrete mathematics, I've had a lot of ease as compared to my classmates due to topics studied during IB maths.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things, or many of the main points that we heard earlier today during the alumni talk, and I'm, of course, glad to hear that. One thing, though, I also wanted to ask in related to the whole IB Diploma Program, because as you know, in the IB in general, right, not just in the diploma program, we really value and believe in creating and nurturing people who are going to be global citizens, who have those learner profile attributes, as you remember, being caring, being reflective, being a critical thinker. How do you see that either through specific experiences at St. Nicholas? How do you think that you had that, let's say, fostered in you while you were studying here?
I think IB nurtures a lot of independence from us, and also learning the courses in English works really well with integrating with, for example, research. Almost all of the research is now published in English. when you're going to write a research paper, you have to write it in English. So I see that, again, in comparison to my colleagues, I have a lot of ease writing papers and reading papers and getting direct information. For example, most medical books are translated from English, and many of them have mistakes. As for the different skills for being connected to the world and empathy, I think IB also tackles this diversity, for example, through CAS. So CAS requires you to be integrated with your community and to be aware of the problems of our community. And that is a very big difference with my colleagues that, for example, studied in a school that was only specific to the vestibular. So they were only focused on learning the course and not being integrated with society.
Excellent. Yeah, CAS is a big part of the IB Diploma Program. Maybe Gabi or Ritwij, you can share one of your CAS experiences and maybe how that impacted your journey in the program.
One of my primary CAS experiences was the Bridge Project. This was an NGO that a couple of friends and I founded with the goal of teaching initially English and then later on maths to children at underprivileged Brazilian schools. I think this opportunity was, the pandemic served as a catalyst for us to, find this opportunity and act on it. And St. Nicholas's CAS program was very helpful in providing us with resources and guidance in making it a reality. And beyond online classes and being able to connect with these kids, we were also given the opportunity to visit them in person, provide donations of learning materials, and just get to know them a little bit better. And I think that was very eye-opening to understand how the education system works in various parts of the world and how we can give back to the communities.
Excellent. Do you have any CAS experiences you'd like to share, Gabi?
So my main CAS experience was Make-A-Wish. My group and I had to plan everything. We talked to the kid. We understood what his wish was, and then we had bake sales, we had fundraising, and I think this whole process of working together towards a greater goal and having many components to the plan are skills I learned and now I use every day, even if it's just a journalism project with a few people or by myself when I'm trying to plan out what I'm going to do for dinner, maybe, all of the things that we did in CAS, even the tiniest activities, such as, one of my plans was playing a video game and improving the little town I was making. They all reflect in real life and help us go through adult life with the skills we need. So I think that's really what CAS is about.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Should I?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So what I really like about CAS is just how open it is to how many activities you can include as CAS hours. I think my main CAS experience was working in the Paraisópolis shelter, where we helped students, we taught students some disciplines like Portuguese, English, Spanish, among others. And we also spent time with them, playing soccer. And it was really nice to get integrated with them and also to learn about what are the problems with the community, what problems the community faces. And I think this is very important when getting into university, because you realize that some solutions that work for some people will not work for others. For example, in my practice, UBS, which is Unidade Básica de Saúde, is a very good idea, but the need for an UBS is not the same in, for example, rich neighborhoods in comparison to poor neighborhoods. And then that translates to projects I'm working with in university, where we plan to take healthcare closer to these communities in need with a much greater demand for public healthcare. Other CAS experiences also include like playing tennis or getting used to music software. And that still translates to my life today because I still produce music and I love to do music in my free time.
Yeah, I think all of you are touching upon what is one of the best parts of the IB Diploma Program is, as you said, you have the freedom to pursue what you want, right? And you can frame it in many ways and individually, right? So just hearing you say that, like how you chose to, for example, work in Parisopolis, you also worked at GRAC, you mentioned earlier GRACI, and how that translates into the work you're doing now at med school is exactly, you know, the goal of making sure that everyone completes the CAS program. And so for those of you who are listening and don't quite understand what CAS is one of the core components of the IB Diploma Program, and it stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. And so for creativity, it could be the music, right, that you were doing at the time, activity, tennis, archery you're playing now, right?
Yes.
Having that balance with both your studies and outside of school. And then service, which many of you have already touched upon, right, is how can you engage with your community and volunteer and help others. So it's really great to hear that, you know, all of you have taken that away, right, in some way to what you're doing now, but also it's about the mindset and just having a greater understanding of what the real world is outside of the St. Nicholas bubble, right? Okay, so now I wanted to ask you and kind of maybe go backwards a bit more when you were in year 9, year 10, and you were already expecting that next step going into the IB Diploma Program and that the choices that you would have to make for your subjects. So if you could share maybe a little bit about how you decided what you wanted to study in the diploma program with the 6 subjects, 3 higher level, 3 standard level. How did that process work? And maybe you can also share a little bit about how either the subjects that you did in the IB Diploma Program then translated into what you're studying now or not. So, yeah, who would like to start?
I could get us started.
Okay.
Back in year 9, year 10, I was pretty confident I wanted to study something either related to computer science or business. I was a little split between both. This made it kind of easy to choose my IB subjects at a higher level. I ended up picking business higher level, mathematics, applications and interpretations higher level, and physics higher level. I enjoyed all of these subjects particularly. Actually, none in particular. I enjoyed all of them quite a lot. And they translated very well into my university life. I ended up deciding to study computer science, but I am also pursuing a minor in financial technologies. So all 3 are sort of lining up very well. I mentioned previously that all my knowledge from maths is translating very well into the classes I have to take currently. My knowledge of business, I'm able to apply in classes related to my minor, as well as in club activities related to sort of business and consulting that I'm a part of. And the technical development and the problem-solving skills I developed in physics are also very useful in general. And they also helped me pass a placement test to get additional credits in college. So I think my choice of IB subjects was translated quite well into university as well as my course of study.
Excellent. So it was easy to make the choices for you.
Yeah, it was on the easier side since I had a clearer idea of what I wanted to do in the future.
Excellent. How about you, Gabby?
When I first was starting to choose my IB subjects, I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do in university. I've always been a languages, reading, words kind of person. So I prioritized the languages. So I had chosen, the first subjects I chose were English and Portuguese higher level. But then I was starting to realize I wanted to do journalism. So I decided on other subjects that would help me out. So like economics and business and biology were all like broader subjects that would eventually come in handy further on. And now in university, all the skills I learned in these subjects help me out. So I think it was a very good choice.
Excellent. And how about you, Artur?
So when I got to pick my IB higher level subjects in year 10,
Year 10.
Year 10.
Yes.
As I wasn't really set on what I was gonna do. I was more inclined to medicine. I was thinking maybe of engineering, but I didn't know. So I only got to choose the subjects that I liked most. And I wanted to do sciences. I wanted to do all higher level sciences, physics, biology, and chemistry, but that was not an option. We only got to choose 2 of them. So I chose maths as a third one because I like maths. And later on that I realized that medical school applications that from England, for example, that require IB, they require 2 sciences and maths. So that was a nice coincidence, but I ended up not using my IB. So it did help me in vestibular though, because again, IB gets deeper into these subjects to the point that in vestibular I didn't have to study much bio, chem, and maths. I focused on the other subjects that I didn't study in IB. And in uni, again, IB translates very well because IB touches on some subjects that you learn in the first year of university, even the second one. So it was really productive.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the 3 of you, pretty lucky that it turned out exactly, not exactly, but more or less what you had planned, translated into what you wanted to study in the future. But I'm still glad that, because this is the message that we pass on to you whenever you're going through the year 10 choices stage, is that it's a combination, right, of when you're making your IB diploma subject choices, it's not just, okay, what do I need to get into a specific university? Yeah, I think all 3 of you were fortunate that your IB subject choices matched really well with what you decided to actually pursue in the future. But that's not the case for everybody. People change their mind, right? And you guys are really young when you are having to make these choices. So I hope you remember, but one message that we make very clear when you're going through this process is making sure that it's not just about choosing what a university would like for a specific course. You also have to reflect on your interests. You have to reflect on your strengths. All of that has to kind of fit together into the puzzle piece, right? Pieces that make up a successful IB diploma program. Because in the end, although you didn't use it here in Brazil to enter university, many of the subjects still worked well for you in terms of how you could use it in the course, right?
And also for the exchange program.
In the exchange program. Okay, how so in the exchange program?
It was part of the curriculum analysis, right? So in the exchange program, they ask for your grades in school, in medical school, not in high school, but also do an analysis of what you did in the first 2 years, and what distinctions do you have throughout your life, and diplomas and stuff. And IB was one of them, and I think that gave more concrete evidence for example, my interest in sciences and my English level as well.
Excellent. All right, so going back to CAS and the way in which the IB Diploma Program puts importance on diversifying and balancing what you're doing in life aside from academics, I wanted to hear from you what you are doing now, maybe one example of something that you're pursuing because of your own interest, or also to help prepare you for your next steps in your academic journey. What do you do that you like outside of the classroom?
I could start on that. One of the reasons I am studying computer science is because I'm very interested in the applications of machine learning and AI. I'm exploring this in a couple of ways outside of my studies. For one, I'm in a big data club at my university at Georgia Tech. For that, I'm leading a project where we are finding ways to apply machine learning models to analyze the sentiments of financial earnings calls. So focusing more on the financial sector. And I'm also doing research at a lab that focuses on AI for manufacturing purposes. So finding ways to automate processes and to implement models to optimize how things are manufactured. And I think CAS sort of empowered me to see pursuing things that I am interested in outside of the classroom. And I think that's one of the reasons that I do the activities that I do now, and I have the courage and the time management skills to follow up on these commitments and really balance them with my academics.
Awesome. Yeah. How about you, Gabby?
As for me, I'm part of the archery club at my university, and I actually started doing archery while I was in St. Nicholas, but I hadn't had the chance to actually practice it regularly. So going to university, it has become a very good way to de-stress and work on concentration and work towards a goal that's not just academic, and get some exercise in, because walking all the way to the athletic center and then actually stringing my bow and gathering my arrows. So it gives me a chance to take a step back from the academic world. And even while I'm shooting, I have to concentrate, I have to aim, but I can still think of life from a more chill perspective and not be stressed out with exams and papers I have to write or group works I have to work on. So it gives me a chance to actually calm down and do something else. So it's been really nice. I've been part of competitions, and even though it's competitions and I don't win them, but they're still fun to participate because I get to meet people with the same interests, and university is all about meeting new people. So I enjoy it.
Absolutely. Awesome. How about you, Artur?
So as for extracurricular activities, in my first year of university, I tried all of them. So from academic groups, academic specialty groups, to even religious groups. I participated in some religious groups just to know them. And I ended up sticking most with research. So outside of classroom, I spend most of my time doing research on neurology. And outside of academics, I spend some of my time with music production, which I think, again, is very important to relieve and just tone it down a bit. And even on Spotify. So if you want to check out, it's at Dawn Waves.
Excellent. I still remember you, Artur, playing music at St. Nicholas. That's a core memory for me in terms of how I see you. So I think that's really nice. Again, remembering how you were all unique individuals doing your individual activities and pursuits while at St. Nicholas, but also continuing to do that beyond. That's really special. So thank you for sharing those. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to ask you about is how you saw the St. Nicholas environment, its international mindedness, and its emphasis of, being inclusive of everyone. And, I think most of you had classmates from many different countries. So how did that impact you? And how has that been, for you after graduation, either at university or outside of university, just now that you're no longer a high school student?
I think throughout my 11 years at St. Nick's, I've been classmates and friends with people from quite literally every continent on the planet. So I think that exposure and that real emphasis on attracting international students at St. Nicholas is a very core part of its identity and what makes it such a great school to study at. Because of this exposure, this experience that I've had, the cultural experiences that I've had, speaking to these people, learning from them, learning about their cultures, going to their houses sometimes, is something that's greatly helped me in just being able to connect and build relationships with anyone outside of high school. In university, I've had the opportunity to meet people from a wide variety of countries. You know, I have people from Kyrgyzstan, I have people from Denmark, France, Germany, New Zealand, and for every one of them, I am able to connect with them in some way, shape, or form. And I think a big part of that can be attributed to having this exposure throughout my formative years at St. Nick's.
Excellent. Do you remember maybe also some of the different nationalities that you encountered here at St. Nicholas?
Yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of Korean and Japanese students. I remember we have quite a few students from South Africa. I had a very good friend from Denmark early in middle school at St. Nicholas. I had an Australian friend in primary school who was very close to me. So definitely a very wide variety of nationalities at St. Nick's growing up.
Excellent.
I think the international, open-mindedness in St. Nick's helps us understand the world once we go abroad, because we're not scared of experiencing new things. Usually people are going to a foreign country, the culture is different, the people are different, customs, they're not as affectionate as Brazilians are. So we are less scared because we've been in contact with these people, and we have experienced their culture and their habits through media we learn in school. So books we read or movies we watch for some classes, and it really helps us understand people. And sometimes it even gives us a small fact about something that helps us start conversations that often lead to great friendships. That's how I made some of my friends, having had international friends here in St. Nick's. Helped me create bonds with people out in Canada, and now I get to live with my best friend, and we talk about the different cultures, and we appreciate the differences between cultures, which I think is really nice, and that's something I learned here at St. Nick's.
Awesome.
I'd like to make a quick connection actually with the IB Diploma Programme and the languages subjects. It's actually a requirement by the IB languages that one of the literary works that we read be a translated work. So just in having to read a work like that, you have to understand the context behind it and exactly what's happening in that part of the world at that particular time. In my grade, it was a graphic novel called Persepolis, which was originally written in French, and it was about the Islamic Revolution in Iran. So, you know, having to understand the context and the scenarios and what exactly is happening and what exactly the author is writing about, I think also contributes to the international mindedness that's developed here at St. Nick's.
Awesome. That's a great connection. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Artur?
So just like him, I think I met people from all or most of the continents. I don't remember much people from Oceania, but I think from all the continents, there were pretty much one for each one in my class. Shout out to Ritwij from Rwanda.
Yeah.
Ritwij. He was in your grade?
Oh, he's going to love this shout out.
Ritwij, he's going to love the shout out.
Yes.
So that was really good to again, open your mind to the world and outside of the Brazilian bubble. In my class, there weren't many people from different parts of Brazil, but leading with diversity in high school translated to having such skill in university. For example, in USP, which is here in Brazil, we don't have many international students, but we have students from all around the nation. So I think only around 20% of the students are from São Paulo, and the other 80% are from all regions of Brazil. And to have a greater understanding of diversity and cultural diversity helps you integrate more with the community.
Yeah, and I think that's where I can say for myself, a lot of people ask me, because I'm not from Brazil, like, do you like Brazil? And I'm like, yeah, I love Brazil, but I will say that São Paulo is a state in itself and a city in itself, and the rest of Brazil is very diverse. So I think what you're saying, like, you know, having contact with people from other parts of Brazil is also very enriching, right? You have different accents, different food, different customs. So I'm glad to hear that that's also carried on. So Ritwij, you're watching. Yes, we love you. Everyone remembers Ritwij. But yeah, I remember in your class, we had also Japanese, Korean, someone from Israel,
Italy, Marco.
Italy, yep, Marco. So we had a really great, every class is great, but just kind of remembering. And from your class, we also had Japanese, South Korean,
Chinese.
Yeah.
And from Jacob from Czech Republic.
I was going to say Jacob from Czech
He was
Republic.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's so nice, right? This is a very unique experience that most people don't get to have in their high school years. Well, now that we're reminiscing about, all of our amazing peers that you had, right, from St. Nicholas and people from all over the world, I want to take advantage of this opportunity to invite you all and everyone else to our first alumni reunion happening December of this year. And, since we were already mentioning some names of some peers, I'm going to do a shout out of a few here. So Richie, Shaked, Marco, Seika, Hiram, Rodrigo, Eita, Shiyu, Jacob, Yoshi, Kelly, Jade, Subin, Jose. We want you here. Okay, in December, and everybody else who ever studied at St. Nicholas, because this is your home. We want you to come back and have this wonderful opportunity to see everyone and share that lovely experience, just like we had today, right? So that's it. Thank you so much for all of you being here and sharing your experiences. It's always just fills me with so much pride to see where you guys are going and what you're doing. And most importantly, that you continue to be the amazing, caring, wonderful people that you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.